This is Talkin Jazz, presented by R.C. Willey.
Good evening, welcome to this is our first holiday edition of Talkin Jazz.
I guess officially we could call it the holiday edition.
For you and I, anyway. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Good to have you here. Alema Harrington, jazz host extraordinaire. He's at every single game, pre, half, and post. I love your set now when they're on the road and you're out. You're not in the locker room anymore, right?
Sometimes we're in the locker room.
I like
Not
when
always.
you're out. I like when the city's behind you.
Yeah.
Just keep doing that.
Okay.
That looks good.
We'll do that for you.
All right, the Jazz have had their moments, and they've had their not moments. But we're going to try to focus more on the positive here as we move forward, because there's plenty of good things to look forward to. Hey, let's start, though, and you gave us a nice laundry list of things you want to talk about. That celebration after the Memphis win, it was really a lot of fun.
Especially coming off that road trip and then the Los Angeles Lakers game, and you got LeBron celebrating, and you got Dwight Howard knocking down threes. We needed something special like this.
There it is.
I don't know if this is this the first time that they brought out the water cannons again. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think you're right.
And for Jeff Green, this was the indoctrination, of course, of him being welcomed. And look
at Kristen getting out of the way.
KK, we had an interview on our post-game show after this, and KK's hair was all it was all wet. But this is fantastic. You know what I liked about this is right here. We're going to see Moody is going to come in.
Dry him off.
This is something new. It's a little, something that's been added.
It's like a buff and puff.
Yeah. But you know what? That was an important moment for this team because they had come off that difficult stretch, and then last night, of course, was tough for the Jazz. They looked a little out of sync, but that moment I think was fun for not just Jeff Green and the team, but I think for the fans that were still in the stands, because a lot of people, especially after a win, will stick around. Kristen Kennedy does that walk-off interviews. We like to refer to it, broadcast term, walk-off interview. So that was good. I like that.
All right, well, that's some of the positive. And you know what? You sense that there's more of that coming once they get their house in order. One of the other things you want to talk about, and you've been harping on this for weeks, you and David Locker, he was here last week, same thing, Donovan scoring with a more variety of shots.
Because we know that Donovan can knock down the three-pointer. We know that he can hit the mid-range. In fact, that elbow mid-range, I've been on this show preaching how important that mid-range shot has been for him. The three-pointer is on point. Last night, he was a little bit off, a lot to the right on his shots. But I love the crossover at the top and to be able, like that move right there I was like, wow. And we've talked about this before, and you guys, I'm sure, do this when you're watching the game as well. That floater looked nice for Donovan Mitchell. But whether it's Mike Smith and myself or it's me and Big T Thurl Bailey, there's a moment at least once in the game where like I'll hit Big Tim like what?
That's
what? What? And so that when he has that crossover at the top, beyond the three-point arc, and because he's able to hit the three-pointer, he's able to make moves like that. And I love the way that he changes it up and just inside the three-point line, the mid-range shot. And Donnie, again, 26 points last night. You look at his ability to score the basketball and put up 20 points or more on a pretty regular basis for the Jazz.
Has he signed off on you calling him Donnie? You're the only one I've heard refer to him that way.
Well, I think he's okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's your little thing. Okay. One of the issues, it's injuries are a part of the game. We know about that. I mean, good heavens, Dante Exum, we put up with that for years. But now Conley gets banged up. Alema, what does that mean to this team? What's the prognosis? How do they best deal with the situation on the court?
Well, I can give you information, and you probably received this information as well, that right now he's listed as out for this game in Minnesota, continues to deal with that hamstring injury. But here's a bright side for me. Now, you watch him, he's sitting there next to Zach Guthrie along with Moutier, and he's doing some coaching.
Isn't he?
He's talking to Moutier about that point guard position, what he's seeing. But this is the part that I think is beneficial, is when guys have extended time on the bench, their ability to watch the game and see what's going on. Typically, we will see when they return to the court, and hopefully that's soon for Mike Conley, because we need him out there. We need his leadership. We need his veteran savvy. We need him to continue to develop a relationship like we see with Joe Ingles and Rudy Gobert. We need to see that continue. But his time on the bench, I think, is going to be well spent. He's a veteran. He knows what to be looking for. And as much as it's disappointing for him to be injured right now, not playing, I think that there's going to be a benefit that comes from his time right now watching this team while he's on the bench.
Maybe even more so because he's new to the team this year. I mean,
I think we saw that at different times when Rubio was injured, when he was the starting point guard for the Utah Jazz.
Just picking up some things here and there. Okay, more positives. Rudy, you and I were talking earlier about how you were just going on about how he just gets double-doubles every night.
Yeah.
You said he's a double-double as soon as he walks on the court.
He can step on the court and get a double-double. He's a walking double-double. I mean, he's a guy that, at this point, you know, his ability to both rebound, and he was close to a triple-double in that game against Memphis, by the way. He had 5 assists at halftime. And you knew he was going to get the double-double, and you were thinking, if he can, you know,
get a triple.
Yeah, he can get a triple-double. That would be fantastic. Did you see Elf was in the foreground there? That was interesting. But,
Will Ferrell
you know,
at the game?
You get some shots here that you're seeing the relationships continue to develop, whether it's Bogdanovich and you know, you also see the follow on the miss with Donovan Mitchell. But his relationship, speaking of Rudy Gobert, with Joe Ingles has, you know, it's one of those things that you can't just step on the court, new teammates, and be able to have this kind of chemistry. I mean, you and I have been able to do it, of course, in the broadcast booth, but I mean, that is rare. Again, look at the way that Joe is able to just, for Joe right now, he's putting the ball right where Rudy needs it. Mike Conley is still trying to find that. And again, the benefit of Conley watching from the bench,
that'll help.
He gets to see, and I think it will be a long-term benefit.
Our broadcast days go all the way back to the Blaze game. So we've had to learn to adapt to whatever the case may be.
What chemistry?
Hey, let me go off script really quick here, because you had brought up and 3 or 4 shows ago, Rudy asking for the ball. There was kind of a moment at that point of the season. Has that paid off in your view, or is it just back the way it was?
I think that they're still working towards that. And
so it's
again,
not quite where it needs to be.
I don't think it's where it needs to be or where Rudy probably wants it. And I don't know if everybody's in agreement of where it needs to be. But if you look at Rudy's numbers, you know, the double-doubles kind of speak for themselves. The offensive output kind of speaks for itself. Shortly after that, I don't want to say it was a demand, but it was a comment that came out of the locker room, right? Close, where he's saying, you know, I'm sealing my guy down low. And for anybody watching, for Jazz fans, Jazz Nation, you and I watching the game, you can watch Rudy seal his guy, and you're like, almost, you kind of like, get it to him, right? And so they're gonna get to that point, but it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the season is. It's a long season. All right. Next on your list, assists and threes against Memphis. You know, no matter how rough a game can be, and in the case of Memphis, it was a great game. There are a lot of positives, and you wanted to talk about a couple in particular with the assists and the threes.
One of the reasons why that Memphis game was such a positive and so fun is because, remember when we used to make the reference to the blender? This was last year. The blender was talking about how Quinn Snyder wanted the ball moving, right? Well, in this game against Memphis, the Jazz had 32 assists.
Oh, my word.
32 assists. Okay, so that's a season high for the Jazz. And they also had 19 threes, and you just saw right there Royce O'Neal with the three-point shot. So, you know, you had the combination of sharing the ball and knocking down three-pointers. So here's the key to remember. When you're making shots, that means that the pass that went to that player for him to make the shot is an assist.
What? That's how they score that?
Hang on, because I'm going to tie this all together, Foxy. When you pass the ball to somebody and they miss the shot, not only do you not get credit for the shot, the potential assist is negated.
Wow, so you only get the assist if it's scored.
Yeah, so I'm telling, so the bottom line is when you're knocking down shots, right, then the assist numbers are going to go up. And that's that's what the Jazz had going for them in that Memphis game.
Thank you for sorting that out for us.
By the way, the Jazz also had a career, or I should say a franchise record, for three-pointers made earlier this season. And we'll continue to see that record be broken because the three-point shot is so much more a part of the game
amazing
than it ever has been.
Right. You think back even 20 years ago, and it was like a novelty.
Well, you can think back 20 years ago.
Yeah, you can. There's one small low note. I mean, we can't run away from it. The defense has really been struggling at times. They keep giving up these runs, things like that. Not good.
I'll tell you, there was this, and Donovan made reference to this, right, in his post-game remarks last night. He said, you can look at our roster, and it's almost like, with the players that we have, why can't we be better? And it's
pretty
like,
simple.
He gets it. He's looking at it like, I got Bogdanovich over here, Mike Conley over here, Defensive Player of the Year over here. You can go down the list of the players that you are playing with if you're Donovan Mitchell or if you're Coach Quinn Snyder. And I made this comment to somebody here recently that this might be the toughest coaching job that Coach has because he's dealing with so many great players. But when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, you got to remember that you gave up Derek Favors, or I should say you lost Derek Favors, okay? And you lose Ricky Rubio. I don't know if that's a huge deal. And you lose Jay Crowder.
But key guys.
There's some key guys defensively that understood the DNA and really what this team was about, right? Which was defense. And then you got a bunch of new players that are coming in, and you're trying to get them adjusted or I guess understanding really what the system is, and defense. So much of defense, Foxy, is communication, and so you got new guys trying to communicate, and they'll get that thing figured out. But it's gonna take a minute.
We've seen it with other teams too. When they bring in new guys, sometimes it takes some time. So we'll see where that goes. All right, time to take a listen to our Jazz Bites presented by Kimball Roofing. Jazz do need to do a better job, among other things, of adjusting to each unique opponent.
Jazz Bites, presented by Kimball Roofing and Repairs.
Well, every game's different. Every opponent's different. Tonight, OKC is very different than, say, Philadelphia as far as how their team is put together. And, we need to adjust to that game to game. And we haven't, been able to do that on the level that we need to. But, like I said, there's nothing, there's nowhere to, you have to look at the group, the coaches have to, the players have to, and keep working and get better and start playing better. Oftentimes, someone trying to make a play leads to someone else having a play. And in many instances, they made it hard on us, is what I'm saying. Defensively, I think they got into us, and that requires us to be even more connected. And that's something, I think we're aware of and need to work harder and move further in really the respects you're talking about. But there's, I think there's a lot of things that can contribute to that, and we need to look at them and, like I said, keep working. And it sounds redundant, but it's because it's true.
Coach always makes a lot of sense. He's right. Every night is a different animal. Speaking of animal, they have a Timberwolf tomorrow night. And Alema, last time they were in Minnesota.
That might have been the worst segue of all time.
That didn't work?
That was bad.
They did win last time they were there. But point well taken by Coach.
Yeah, of course. I mean, every game is different. You make adjustments. And even, by the way, when you play, and they've done this with Minnesota, where you play that team and then you play them again. Right? When you do that, even then, it's a different game, different, it's a different situation, different animal.
It's like a playoff series, same kind of thing. Yeah. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. In Minnesota, again, they did that split. They actually lost at home when they won there, so they're in Minnesota tonight. They'll play tomorrow night. Maybe they win that game. Warriors are just, let's be honest, they're a shell of themselves. And then the Magic, and then they have that 3-game road trip, Hawks, Hornets, and Heat. Heat, by the way, surprisingly, sneakingly good team this year. They're like in third place.
Hey, there's a lot of sneakingly good teams out there.
It is, isn't it?
And even as I watched the game last night, speaking of just what you're dealing with, it's almost like Oklahoma City Thunder. They're a team that's got a new point guard with Chris Paul.
He's pretty good one,
and Schroeder he just lit us up last night.
How about that?
And he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But it's almost like welcome to the West. I mean, the West is just top to bottom. Even the teams that are not great are sneaking. What did you say?
Sneakingly.
Sneakingly?
Well, I mean, even the Lakers.
Good.
Look how good they've melded that together.
Even the Lakers,
Davis
like that's
and
the
LeBron.
best team right there.
I mean, it's phenomenal. But a lot of people thought that they might struggle to get it all together.
Yeah, but they figured it out in a hurry.
Real fast. Yeah. Okay, we'll be back. Final thoughts here on Talkin Jazz with Alema Harrington. All right, thanks so much for joining us on Talkin Jazz
Look at
tonight.
it, we matched. Like
I kind of went vest because you do it a lot.
We're both invested, and we didn't even plan it.
Yeah. What do you got planned for the holidays? Anything fun?
Hey, you know what? I got a big event coming up tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to be joining you, Keith Pasker, the rest of our high school.
Tomorrow? The lunch?
Yes. We're celebrating. We're celebrating the success of our football coverage, which we love doing high school football. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It's one of the highlights of my broadcasting.
So we're going to go to lunch and just compliment each other?
Yeah, I'd say, man, you were good.
Well
yeah, you want to practice, right? Man, Fox, you were good.
That was a fun season. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Let's see where the Jazz go. I don't want to say winnable games coming up, but there are games coming up. Thanks for coming in, Alema.
You bet. Holiday edition.
Yeah.
Where's the mistletoe?